What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Welcome in. It is the Lone Gunman Podcast. This is episode 390 fucking 5.
Damn.
We're almost there, Joe.
I know.
Another milestone.
And we have some news. At 400, we are done. That's a
No,
joke. I am.
don't lie to people.
That's a joke.
How dare you? You son of a-
I'm teasing them. Come on. They have a sense of humor. You got to watch the show, right?
I would hope so.
Yeah. If not, you're not in good shape.
You're in the wrong place if you ain't here to have fun and learn something in the process. All right, Joe, I'm going to go ahead and welcome these people in while you skafooze it up there at last minute. South to west, first one in. Welcome in, welcome in.
Another gold for South to West.
Heck yeah. Jack Taylor's right behind him, like David Ferry behind a young cadet. What's up, Jack?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
And then right behind him is our buddy Will. What's up? James, not in the files. Yeah.
That,
The running joke is, I was telling Joe, I figured it'd be funny, to like search on anything for James files in the files. And the only thing I saw that pops up is somebody named James and the word files in the actual file. So,
yeah, and we'll get there. Maybe your boy found a file on him. Maybe he didn't. Maybe we'll go over some files. Pun intended.
JFK files, James files. Oh, look, it's Kafuza in the comments.
Who?
Joey B. Martin.
Oh yes, I said yeah, GP. You nailed that one. Thank you.
Big Mike. This most definitely be a banger of a show. Looking forward to it tonight, boys. So are we. So are we.
Hey, Mike.
We're kind of doing a test here. This is only a test of the YouTube algorithm system. We're performing a test here. I'm sure most of you know how we really feel about this subject, and trust me, we will not be holding back at all. But we figure, we'll see what happens when we try a little clickbait. Tiny Dancer, welcome in.
Tiny, what's up?
Tiny.
Was emailing with her today.
Zendar, what's up, Zendar? Up in the house, yeah.
Zendar.
The lovely Sally from across the pond, Joe. Pick your tongue up, Joe.
Hey, mate. No, that's
Joe wants to mate.
You're getting me trouble. You're getting me
trouble. Mike the library man's up in the house. What's up, Big Mike? Hoping I can join as the missus has me helping to organize a garage sale for tomorrow. Yeah, that Mike, we are much more important than organizing a garage sale, bud. Just do it like this. Put all the shit on the table in your garage. Don't worry about pricing anything. Just make people ask you and just make shit up off the top of your head. Best way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I have just on that point, have you ever passed by like on a Saturday morning and seen those like signs posted on like a phone pole, and be like garage sale here, 2 blocks this way, and just stop by them? Not even for JFK stuff, just for random shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah.
Yeah, me too. But it's interesting to do it, especially if you catch it like not at the end of it.
Oh yeah, people are trampling in at like 6 a.m. Are y'all ready yet? Y'all open yet? No, dude, we're setting up yet. Not an hour. Scoofuzes. Okay, here we go.
You'd have to deal with
the mother effing double B. Gifted 5 memberships, and let's see. Gerald got 1. J-Man got 1. The Flash 29 got 1. Perpetual Concepts. Hello.
Oh, hey, PC.
And Veronica Lynn with the sexy ass name. Let's see what you look like. Well, welcome, Miss Veronica.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoy the show and stick around.
Oh man, I got in so much trouble.
Oh no. The Double B celebrates 13 months of membership. Good evening, all. I pray you're well. Glad
Wow.
to be with you. Thank you.
More than a year. Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Welcome. Or not welcome, but congratulations. We appreciate it.
We do.
For sure. Let's see here. Toopsy's in the house. Toopsy, what's up, buddy?
Hey.
What's up down under? He's listening to us upside down in Australia right now. Toopsy. I'm kidding. The earth is flat, people. Come on. Scott Edwards. I am not a crackpot. You took the words right out of my mouth, Scott.
Comment of the night so far. Yeah.
Claude. Hello, Claude. Welcome in. Aunt Udine is filing her nails while they're dragging the fence. Oh, shit. Okay. Try not to leave any marks later. Timothy Ryan up in the house. What's up, buddy? Good evening from Philly.
Philly. Yeah. We love Philly.
The Big D. Derek Schwindeman. Joe's in the house.
The D-Dub, or not the D-Dubs, the Derek Schwinder.
Yeah. And the Big O. Owen Smith is in the house. Good evening or morning. Whatever it is, wherever you are, is what it is.
I'm guessing it's morning for Owen if you're saying that.
Owen, are you Jeebus on X? If you are, thank you for sharing the shit out of our videos. Let me know if you are Jeebus. Paulinici.
Hey.
Welcome in, Paulinici.
Paisan.
Anthony Thripp, the best goddamn carpet salesman in Queensland, is in the house. What's up? Good morning to you. Also listening to us upside down in Australia. I'm just kidding. The earth is flat. Sooner Scooter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, damn, look at that fish. That's a big-ass fish.
Oh, that's deep-sea fishing, huh?
That's the kind of shit I'm scared of, man. Like, that thing could swallow you whole and you'd be trapped in there like Jonah trying to get the hell out of that thing.
Yeah. I've only been deep-sea fishing a few times, but I've really enjoyed it. But my next bucket list item, Rob, is to go swimming with orcas in Norway.
Yeah, you have fun with that.
Yeah, I'm not going to get there anytime soon, but it's a bucket
Much
list.
easier. Go swimming with piranha in Brazil. How about that?
Or go swimming with fellow researchers in DC.
You go to the Amazon with those fish that swim up your pee into your dick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. Trey, welcome in, sir. Your chats aren't showing up. Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lordy.
Gotta love it. Matt Douthit is in the house.
Oh, hey, Matt. How are you, sir?
Yeah, exactly, Matt. That's the point. We're doing a test here. We're testing the algorithm. This is like going to be an totally anti James Files podcast, by the way, debunking everything he's ever said. But we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm interested to learn more about his early life and if he really was affiliated with Nicoletti or Roselli. And I know you'll be doing that segment, Rob, but that's interesting to me. I mean, I obviously don't think he had anything to do with the assassination, because why would you admit that and then sell shit on the Grassy Knoll? And I know you have a good story about that. But I'm interested in learning about some of his backstory. And I think that's a good preface, if you will.
Well, we'll get there. Mr. Robert Fouillard, welcome in. Welcome in. I was trying to just start the show without welcoming everybody up in this motherfucker. You like email stuff to yourself. Fiddlefuck. Welcome in. What's up, fellers? Mr. Fiddlefuck.
Hey, what's up? It's Fiddlefolk.
Well, you say it Fiddlefolk, I say it Fiddlefuck.
Okay.
You say tomato, I say tomato. Oh boy, let's see. I mean, the people are coming out for this one. World's most handsome pot smoker. Oh, potato. Sorry, Australia is not a real place. Hey, this is a man after my own heart.
Wait, how did you misread potato from to
It cut off
pots?
the pot over here on the side. Okay, until I put the big comment up here and I saw this little
All
potato.
right, fair enough, fair enough.
Over here, he's the world's most handsome pot smoker.
All right. I thought you
Sunglasses.
I thought you were referring to me, but I'm not smoking these days, so I'm a good boy, a good Catholic boy. If you want to bring up the picture,
Chris. I don't know what WPG stands for, but I could probably make up something, but I don't want to, you know. Oh, looks like we have a James File supporter here. Is this going to be a fair trial or is this a crucifixion? Well, you're just going to have to stick around and find out, Chris.
yeah.
You never know. We're always fair around here. All's fair in love and war
Yes.
at times.
Get uh,
At
get
times.
Matt says get Files on the show. He'll literally talk to anyone. Well,
Well,
he's like comatose these
yeah, he's
days.
literally one secondhand smoke away from keeling over. I'm thinking, well, we'll get there. Trust me, I promise, Matt. We got all kinds of good stuff lined up for you here this evening, folks. So let's start off the story at the very, 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 Joe, beginning.
Okay.
Actually, I take that back. I want to start at the end of the story,
Interesting.
the right now, and then we'll take it back to the beginning because the right now is what's pissing me off.
Okay.
And what's pissing me off is that this story, after 30 some effing years, is having a resurgence in the JFK community. Like people just done discovered, you know, gold on Mars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is some great grand new revelation, you know? And it's like, really? Really? And I'll tell you, one of the biggest people that I have a problem with, let me share my screen and I'm going to show you who I'm talking about here.
Scafusa of the week, maybe.
Oh, he's a Scafusa. Unfortunately, he's a hero, but he's also a Scafusa. So, without further ado,
They're not synonymous sometimes.
I present to you Michael Jaco. Okay.
Michael
Now,
Jaco. Okay.
he has 122,000 subscribers,
122,000.
942 videos, which, by the way, Joe, is more than we have on this channel. And we have a lot. Not to mention all the TLGs, all the From the Vault, all the quick hits, all the shorts, all the lives. This guy's got more. All right. He's a former Tier 1 Navy SEAL for 24 years, which I can respect. Okay.
Of course.
But
But.
he's a total meathead Scafusa.
Right. And there's a few of them, Rob, these days out there doing their own podcasts, like the former special ops guys.
Oh, yeah.
Like, not that we don't respect their service or anything, obviously, but there are a lot of them, and they seem to be increasing by a lot.
Yeah. Well, this guy's got a hell of a reach. And again, he's a former tier one Navy SEAL for 24 years, 11 years as a CIA combat zone security guy, an intuitive, a remote viewer, an influencer, a 5D warfare fighter.
Wait, did you say a remote viewer?
I said a remote viewer.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I wonder if he can intuit that we're going to be busting his balls tonight on this show. Mr. Jaco, if you do show up, please leave a comment. If you're truly intuitive enough to figure out that we're going to shit on you this evening, sir. With all due respect.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
But this is totally different than that. And in this arena, you, sir, are at the top of the Scafuza list. Okay?
Which is hard to do in this arena.
It's hard to do.
It's hard to do.
All right, now
Which,
I'm going to do
and for anyone new,
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Have Jim Scott and James Files with us once again.
Now, there's a way we can skirt around a couple things, Joe, because we can't really show portions of the interview, if you will. It is copyrighted, and they do keep track of it. Trust me. Video and audio. Trust me. I know. I've had the audio taken down from the vault.
yeah, which
Copyright
is
strikes.
which is another interesting thing because, and we'll get there, I promise, of why it is so protected and why they are so kind of on the James Files thing, and then we'll get into the timing of his claims and the ARB. And
Well, within the past year, this guy's had James Files on his show at least 6-7 times.
really,
Wow. And they keep talking about these new revelations, from James Files and all this horse shit. And he calls James Files a national hero for doing what he did. Just because he was a dumb soldier and he was told what to do. And he followed orders, just like I did for 24 years in the SEALs. Okay, but I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. Let me share my screen once more with the... Okay. Now, this is a portion of the show. Now, we are at the point. Now, the name of this video is, if you see at the bottom, CIA and Chicago mob assassin James Files now on his last days on Earth. Okay? So he's literally, at this point, hanging on by a thread, and he is not on video. Dude is laid up in bed, can't get out of bed at this point. He's having heart failure, not doing well. But that don't stop them from having him on for 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm. 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Stop it. Wow.
Bro, now I'm not going to show the entire video. I just want to...
Right.
I'm just going to hit some highlights here. And trust me, nothing good happens until we get about...
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Have Jim Scott and James Files with us once again.
Oh, he is on video
James
here.
is,
This is an older one. Sorry.
Getting close to the point where there's not much he can share going forward, unfortunately. We've tried to get President Trump to give him a pardon. So we're gonna try and get as much information as we can.
I wanted to pause it there real quick. Look at the background of this shit. Okay, JFK murder, James Files, Weebly.com, authorhouse.com, primary target JFK. There's copies of his books that he's selling, of course.
Right.
The one Scafuza's got a Making America Great Again hat. James Files is wearing a Trump hat and a CIA shirt.
Oh my God! And
this other Scafuza is the financier, if you will. Although Jaco ain't doing bad himself, but this guy Jim Scott, I mean, you can look at his living room. Anybody with heads like that in their living room got money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like a helicopter. He owns like a helicopter company. You know, he's got money. So,
well, why can't he afford something other than the cups you used to drink out of college?
Buddy, we don't like to dirty up glasses down here just for anything. You know what I mean? This way they can't see what I'm drinking.
Oh man! I mean, at least do a real cup of shit.
All right, let's continue here, and then we'll.
From James that he wants to reveal, that he can reveal at this point. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And what have you guys been up to?
And thank you for having us. Well, I've been staying either in bed, in my wheelchair, or at the doctor's office, one or the other. The other day, I had an appointment at the hospital. I went in for a CAT scan. And they're monitoring my heart and they're keeping track of it because I got a real bad leaky valve, and they cannot fix it.
Got a leaky
And normally
valve.
they would go in through the groin and fix it that way, but they can't because my stomach is moved 3/4 of the way up through the diaphragm into my chest. The esophagus laying against that, and it's got the passageway blocked, so they've got to open my chest up. And about 12 doctors altogether have agreed that I would not survive the operation. So they sent me home and told me, okay, make the best of it that you can. And so I'm trying to enjoy what I got left.
Good man.
That's what I've
Good
been.
man.
My wife, she's been doing everything from
All right, I'm
red
going to fast forward this to about the 33-minute mark into this.
I think I swung 3 times with 80 pounds of ammo on me. And it took me and the SEALs, I think 3 or 4 days to get back down the river because we could only move in nighttime. We stayed in the water, and we could.
Now, what he's talking about here, folks, is when he was in Laos, okay?
Right.
Now, he was supposedly, I think he was supposed to be in the Army.
I believe so. It was late 50s, I believe. But
Wait, no, it can't be the late 50s because the Navy SEALs weren't formed until 1962.
well,
which is another problem. So he's talking about being in Laos in 1962 as an Army guy in with Navy SEALs, which doesn't quite make sense to me.
No, obviously his story is all over the place.
Yeah, his timeline. I mean, you would think this jabroni up here, Michael Jaco, would know when the SEALs were formed, and he would question him on it since he was one for 24 years. But I digress. So let's jump forward.
Covered with brush, and we built a small raft like with brush on it.
Because this is a bunch of bullshit.
That there was, 38 Super brass at the scene, and we know, James.
Well, now let me pause it here because this is another Skafuza who is a James File supporter. His name's Jim Manning. He's got a podcast on here and gets like hundreds of thousands of hits on his stuff when he talks about JFK. I don't know who he is, but he is dead wrong on all kinds of stuff. It's called the Blood Money Podcast.
Well,
He's a Skafuza.
Yeah, sounds like clickbait.
James knows the person.
Let's get through this.
That had it, probably stole it before he retired. And all the FBI, when they went there, they had about 50 FBI agents stormed Round Lake Beach, Round Lake Park, and all those areas there, the surrounding towns.
All right, he's talking about when he got arrested.
They had the question. We gave them the benefit of that. We put it in the book. So we didn't want to close anybody out. We used everybody that wanted to know. And so even the questions are interesting that people ask.
If you're
His wife.
And exactly what I just said would be proven. John F. Kennedy is not in his grave in Arlington. He is the remnant ever might be left, which would be nothing probably. If you look at the Titanic wreck, the only people in the bottom of the ocean, the only part of those people that went down with the Titanic that's left is their shoes. And he was naked, so there would be nothing left. That box would be empty. And I don't think you could achieve, even if you scraped up the dirt in the bottom of it, you probably couldn't find his DNA in it. But John F. Kennedy is not in his grave. And if you want to prove me wrong, then dig it up.
Then dig it up.
And I can tell you, you probably could find that white concrete box out there if the CIA hadn't already gone out there and rigged explosives to it and blown it up. So it's little pieces of gravel all over the thing. But now I've said that, they probably are leaving the port right now with a bunch of C4. I don't
remember what year it was, but they was moving the graves or something or other, and they dug up the casket.
Because he's so scary important.
Oh, my God.
The James Files. Now they're talking about this Remington ammunition.
This is a vintage box of 221 Fireball ammo from 1963. And on the end of the box, it says
did you say
Remington Fireball 50?
Pause it. Did you say 221?
Yeah.
Okay. Just keep that in mind.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep that in mind, audience.
Grain soft point. Index number is 5221. And it doesn't, I don't think it says the velocity on here, but I want to say out of the 10 3/4 inch barrel of a Remington XP 100, I think it's about 2650, the 50 grain bullet. It's not that fast. It's fast, but now you can hand
Actually, jackass is 3,000, but okay.
load like a 40 grain nozzle or ballistic tip or one of the little, what do they call them? Varmint. It's a Varmageddon bullet, I think, 40 grains, and you could load one of those. And there's a couple companies, Spear and Sierra makes a 40 grain bullet, I think, for the 22, for the centerfire cartridges. You got to be really careful those with a long barrel. When you push them too fast, like out of a 220 Swift, you can push those 4,300 feet per second, something like.
I don't know what this Cafuz is getting to, but.
And he doesn't reveal some things, but you could.
Well, I'm going to after he dies.
Where did James Files go?
I need to write a book. But to be honest with you, I could like
drop off
this guy. I mean, if there ever was, and what's really funny is,
I could write 10 books.
If you really know him in his heart, I mean, he's a really a patriot. He would have done anything and killed anybody as long as he thought the government like if you'd say, hey, go over and kill this 10-year little boy. He's going to give the Russians a big secret that we don't want him to know. He wouldn't ask one question. He'd just go over and whack him. I mean, it was.
Is this guy serious?
He was a psychopathic machine, a killing machine.
But he's a patriot.
And remember, he was programmed from a boy to be
that's
like
right.
that.
That's what this is all about. It's a mental condition.
Generational problems with this, yeah.
And our friend Gordon Ferry, who's recently written a book about the JFK assassination, it was worked with the Secret Service and Marine Sniper and all that stuff. He worked with Carlos Hathcock. Gordon has said that Jimmy's biggest problem is that he didn't know how to say no.
Yeah,
he would do whatever if the CIA told him.
What would happen if he did say no?
Oh yeah,
he'd get a firing squad from about 50 guys shooting him all at once.
Yeah, 50 guys.
Some of his compadres did over time. Yeah. He's like one of the last few that's left. They just killed all those guys over time.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I'm fearful for a lot of the GRS guys that they get in situations and they're asked to do certain things.
All right, that's enough.
It's
out
like
of these Cafuzes.
Special Agent Thomas Shipman.
But I just wanted to show you that he is still alive. He is still doing shows. People are giving this guy a platform, right, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just insane to me. Insane to me.
Me too.
So let's go back to the beginning a little bit here.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about his early life, if you will.
Well, nobody really knows very much about his early life, other than the fact that what he says. Okay. Now, the interesting part about that. Let me see if I can pull this up here. So, going way, way back, what he tells us is he was born in 1942, okay, which would have made him 21 in 1963. He claims to be, Joe, do me a favor while I talk about this. See if you can pull up the the famous Operation 40 picture for everybody.
What, the one in the Congo?
No, the one where they're all sitting around a table.
Okay.
Thank you, Brandon. I figured this. I mean, we haven't even done anything yet. Apparently, there's some haters in the crowd.
Oh wow! Oh, the one around the table, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
I have it.
Now, Files claim to be a part of Operation 40, which he classified as an assassination squad. Yes, fiddlefuck, with Tosh Plumley, Barry Seal, and who was the other Scafuza that was buddies with George Bush. Felix Rodriguez.
Okay.
Frank Fiorini allegedly covering his face.
Yeah. I'm bringing it up right now.
All
Just taking a second. Come on.
Slow Joe.
Oof. This new laptop, man. It's annoying. All right. Let me share this tab. Joey Tabs, as I am known. It's on Spartacus. Why is this taking so long? Oh, here we go. Okay.
All right. Now, there's a lot of scafuzas in this picture. Now, James Files claims to be, if you're looking at the picture from the right to the left. So on the right, you have this dude with the pencil thin mustache, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a guy covering up his face. Supposedly Frank Sturgis. Doesn't look like him to me.
Doesn't really look like him to me either.
Allegedly, James Files is the third guy behind Sturgis. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Joe, while you're there, go see if you can get to the Operation 40 tab on Spartacus and tell me when it was formed.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Should I put it back up for everyone while I look for it and just read it?
Well, you should have, but it's too late now.
No, I'll do it. I can do it. It's not too late. People have a couple seconds. All right, Operation 40. Right. This photograph was taken in a nightclub in Mexico City. On January 22nd, 1963. It has been argued by Daniel Hopsicker that the man in the photograph, that all the men in the photograph are members of Operation 40. Hopsicker suggests that the man closest to the camera is Felix Rodriguez, next to him Peter Gross and Barry Seal, like you mentioned, and of course Frank Sturgis, attempting to hide his face with his coat. It has been claimed that that in the picture the Albertado Robeno forthright. And then virtually every one of the field agents in Operation 40 were Cubans. This included Antonio Vinciana, Luis Posada, Orlando Bosch, Rafael Quintero, Rolando Masfera.
You don't have to read them all. Hey.
Eladio Devare.
Stop reading them all.
All right. And a bunch of...
I wanted to know
Brignier.
it was established.
Eugene.
Shut up. The Operation 40 was not actually established until March 9th. Joe.
I'm done.
Stop reading names.
Okay.
Operation
There's a
40
lot of
was not
interesting
actually...
names on it.
I didn't know this was an Operation 40 show.
I didn't
What are you doing, dude?
Till you told me to. Just remove it.
No, I said stop reading fucking names.
I know, but you had a lot of interesting names on there.
I had you pull it up so I could see when Operation 40 was formed to make a point. Okay. And we didn't get there. You're just reading names.
Right. So Files is wrong about when Operation 40 was formed.
No. He never said when it was formed. He just said he was part of it.
Okay.
I'm trying to make a point when it was formed, that he couldn't have been a part of it because he's supposedly in a fucking jungle in Laos.
Right.
According to him.
Yeah. It wasn't 59/60. And don't worry, we're not fighting Tiny Dancer. We're just parsing it out.
He's not following directions, Tiny.
1959 to 1960. He was in the 82nd Airborne in Vietnam, which of course is not the Navy. And this is according to Spartacus.
Yeah, and he would have been 17 years old at the time. So, I mean, there's a lot of problems with this. Not the least of which are there are none, zero military files for James Sutton, which is his name,
Right.
before he changed it.
Right.
There are no military files for James Sutton whatsoever, ever. Okay?
So he probably wasn't even there.
Yeah, you can't even believe that part of the story. Because we have there's no verifiable military files at all.
Right.
Contrast that to what we have with Lee Harvey Oswald. We got enough to fill 2 giant folder drawers full of, military records.
And you would have them through Ancestry. I mean,
you would have something.
Just to bring it back to James Herbert Martin for a second, you and I found his military application card. It's not the right term, but in 1945, I believe it was July or May or something like that, we found it on Ancestry. So
yeah,
it's the Airborne, now it's the Navy.
But I just don't know. I just don't see, a 17-year-old or 18-year-old being sent on special undercover missions to Laos in joint ops with the Navy SEALs who weren't even formed until 1962.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah. Brandon might be biased because he was airborne.
Well, no, I mean, I know they do.
No, I'm just joking with him. He knows.
I know they do joint ops with everybody now, but I'm saying back when they were first formed,
right,
it probably wasn't like that right away.
So this is the thing about the James File story. When you listen to I guess it was a Dutch documentary done in 1964, and I'm going to go through some of the documents and FBI documents that talk about it, like in the month, and a bunch of his claims during it, and then we'll do some of video, maybe on part 2 on Wednesday. He's convincible. He is very articulate, much more than I am, unfortunately. He has a lot of information. He's just kind of throwing around. So if you want to nitpick everything he says, you could kind of convince people that he's kind of, was involved. But when you really dial down, there's a problem. There are many problems.
There are many problems.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So far, we can't confirm that he was in the military at all when he says he was. Mm-hmm. We can't confirm that he was in Dallas, Texas on November 22nd, 1963, because, hold on.
Yeah, I wish, Sally. As in, I go on too many rants. Translation. This is the Irish translation. Okay.
NBC retained me as a consultant for their planned story on files. This comes from Edward J. Epstein, noted author of several JFK-related books. I hired a detective firm of Jules Kroll. He established from telephone records the Files was in Chicago, not Dallas, on November 22nd. We then placed a call to Files from Dick Clark Productions' office, and I interviewed Files about Kroll findings. He said he had a twin brother that nobody knew about. And this is what Files is saying. Files said that he had a twin brother that nobody knows about, and whom he met shortly before November 22nd, and who he murdered after November 22nd. And he said it was this now murdered twin brother that was actually in the hospital with his wife and not him on November 22nd. His wife, however, at the time, James Files' wife at the time, confirmed that there was no twin to the private detective. My view then and now is that Files invented the story for the money that it would earn him. And I agree.
Yeah.
So we can't confirm that he was even in the military. He was investigated at the time that he came out with his claims because they wanted to do the story from Dick Clark Productions. They wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole after they figured out that he wasn't even in Dallas on November 22nd, 63. And then he comes up with a crazy story that said, well, I figured out I had a twin brother shortly before that, and he was in the hospital with my wife while I was in Dallas, killing JFK, and then I came back and I killed him so he couldn't tell nobody. But his wife confirmed that there was no twin. So how you like them ankles, Chris? You've done your research. So have I, motherfucker. So have I. So strap in, because we are nowhere near done.
No.
So let's continue. So, again, he alleges to be in the Chicago mob outfit with Chucky Nicoletti, Tony Accardo, Sam Giancana. Do we have any proof of that, Joe?
Johnny Rosselli. I haven't seen any.
Me either. So you would think the FBI would have some files or something, going back to the 70s. But apparently they don't.
Or 60s, right?
Yeah. Now,
well, maybe I found some. We'll see.
One of the more interesting claims that James Files makes is that, Chris, you're listening, right? On the week before November 22nd, he claims that he drove a carload of guns, or he drove to Mesquite, Texas, where there was a shitload of guns, one of the two, and that Lee Harvey Oswald drove over to meet him in Mesquite, Texas, and stayed with him for a week.
A few days at least, yes. Yeah.
And while together, they practiced shooting said guns, sighting in said guns, and that Lee Harvey Oswald was showing him around Dallas all the escape routes so he could memorize them so he could make a clean getaway. Right. Despite, however, us having Lee Harvey Oswald's time cards from the school book depository saying that he was actually at work there every day. And everybody that he worked with said he was there every day that week. So explain that one, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, because, the FBI is, a big cover-up. If they believed in James Files, they would have arrested him and charged him in 1993 when he first came out and said this shit. But they didn't do nothing because Files is full of shit.
Right. And, Rob, we went on an epic 1-hour thought experiment on members only. Let's do another thought experiment. And I'm going to leave your story about Files to the end. But what fool, Scafuza, goes on the Grassy Knoll and in 1994 admits that, hey, I was the guy that killed the president? What does that accomplish? Notoriety, maybe, if you argue it hard enough. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Look, he was arrested in 1991. Okay? Mm-hmm. And he was looking at doing a lot of time.
Yeah, almost 50 years. Yeah.
And he did a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know, he was paroled in 2016, but from 91 to 2016, that's what? 25 years? Is that 25 years? Or 35 years?
I think it's 35. 2016. No, it's 26. It's 25. Yeah.
25 years. So he ended up doing like half of his sentence, right?
Right. Which is usual in
Yeah.
a lot of cases.
Yeah. Now, because he claims in 1963, that he's working as an organized crime hitman and working as a driver for Charles Chucky, the typewriter Nicoletti. Okay. And files said that he and Nicoletti were sent to Dallas in November to participate in the JFK assassination on behalf of the mob. He claimed that Nicoletti was armed with a semi-automatic Marlin 30-06 rifle. From 1937 to 1938, Marlin did produce an excellent Johnson semi-automatic 30-06. Where have we heard of that rifle being introduced into the storyline before?
A few times.
Yeah. Lauren Hall, for one, when he picked up Jerry Hemming's rifle in Los Angeles before heading to Dallas with it.
Yes.
And that's verifiable, Chris. That's actually in an FBI document. Not a bullshit story. Let's see. So, May 7th, 1991 is when all this shit went down, and supposedly Files shot a police officer. Didn't kill him, but shot him. And, all right, we'll look at the difference of that here in a second.
Mm-hmm.
He's also made several claims about David Atlee Phillips being a CIA handler, which is pretty funny.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to figure. This guy at this point in his life is allegedly working as a driver for a hitman from the Chicago Mafia. And a CIA guy is going to approach him directly without going through the proper channels, right, of said hierarchy.
Without using an alias, right?
And send him to Florida to train Cuban exiles at No Name Key.
Thank you for taking the words out of my mouth that I was about to say.
Okay? I mean, he's just stealing bits and pieces from everybody else's story.
Right. And he's combining them. And he had a lot of time to read in jail, is kind of my conclusion.
Well, you figure he's arrested in 91. That's when the Oliver Stone movie comes out. That's when this shit gets popular. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of things on TV back then. There was a lot of books, I'm sure, in the prison library to read. And maybe he was even interested in the assassination before all this shit happened.
All right.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
And I'm going to go one step further, Rob, and to get your thoughts on this. I wrote this down earlier. Was this an opportunity for the intelligence community to, quote, muddy the waters, and this is my words, and be like, yeah, this fool did all these type of things. So this Scafuza focuses, the Facebook Scafuzas still repeated to this day. And it happens right in the middle of the ARRB. So why not stir the pot with a crazy guy, which I think he was and is, and create some conspiracy fodder? Seems like just another psyop to me.
I don't think that. And here's why.
Okay.
So supposedly Joe West, who had previously had some failed JFK revelations with Ricky White and Roscoe White, right? he was trying to bring Ricky out, and Roscoe White's story and all
Oh,
that.
I didn't realize the connection there.
Yeah, same guy.
Okay.
And of course, that didn't go well. That was quickly debunked as horseshit back then.
Shocker.
And then he supposedly is tipped off by a retired FBI agent for some reason. And
is that Shelton?
Yeah, Zach Shelton.
Yeah, I have a couple things on him.
So,
Okay.
But at the time he tips off Joe West, he kind of tips him off and steps away from the story. Now he comes back later because Joe West doesn't live very long after talking to James Files.
Right. He dies like a year or two after or something.
Yeah, and then in steps Wim Dankbar, okay, this big Dutch millionaire who's just got apparently a lot of money to spend. He still owns the copyrights of this story. That's the guy that comes after you when you post anything about James Files from his books or his interviews that he bought. Right?
Which is why we are not playing the video, maybe on members only, the second part. But
now, Wim Dankbar is also
what a name, by the way,
the propagator of Chauncey Holt's story as well. He owns all the rights to that, and he is responsible for bringing that story to the forefront. Really. And of course, the two stories tie together, Joe. Right? Because Chauncey Holt claims that he drove Chucky Nicoletti from Arizona to Dallas. And, James Files came down by himself, and then they met up later. Right? Mm-hmm. Chauncey Holt gave him Social Security or Secret Service identification if he got stopped on the knoll. Just bits and pieces pulled from just everything you've ever heard of about this case.
Right.
That doesn't help Files' story at all. To be associated with another fraud, verifiable fraud. I'm sure, Chris, you probably believe the Chauncey Holt story too, right? He believes Judy Baker too.
Did really?
You see her on the Danny Jones podcast?
Oh my God.
We've seen her 20 fucking times before. And again, she's another one of these frauds that has absolutely zero proof, zero documentation of anything she's ever said. Just like Files.
Yeah. And we did do that on the members only one Wednesday, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Oy vey.
Now, James Files claims that David Atlee Phillips got Oswald his job at the school book depository.
Okay.
You believe that one?
No.
He said that Kennedy's murder was ordered by the mob and the CIA, with the main figure being mob boss Tony Accardo.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We talked about him a lot on our Chicago episode, but no, I.
Now, he also claims that the CIA at the last moment tried to call off the assassination, but Accardo overruled the CIA.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Insert the Tosh Plumley part of the story.
Oh, man.
Because he brought, allegedly, Johnny Rosselli to Dallas. And apparently Johnny Rosselli was in the Daltex building with Chucky Nicoletti, and he told Chucky, hey, you got to stop. It's been called off by the agency. And Chucky said, fuck the CIA. We're killing this motherfucker. And apparently at that point, Johnny Rosselli said, oh, okay, I'll be your spotter and your I'll grab your shells. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not to mention, he bit his shells with his teeth, which we'll get to.
Oh, we will.
Which I'm not sure. It was before DNA, but.
Well, I don't know about you, Joe, but I know as soon as I shoot a hot bullet, right, you that's the first thing you want to do is just shove a hot shell in your mouth and bite it. Because, getting a giant burn sore on the inside of your mouth is so comfortable.
Nuts.
Now, he claims to have pulled the bullet out right out of the gun, stuck it in his mouth, bite it, and set it up on the Grassy Knoll picket fence. Yet it wasn't found.
Chris, please just listen, okay?
Again, you're just talking out of your ass, dude.
Yeah, bro. We're not on a Facebook chat here. Come on. This is for serious thought and discussion. Like, we're not.
You should go watch Michael Jaco's podcast and stay there, because that's where you belong, bro. If you want to know the truth, hang out for a while. But otherwise, get to stepping, because you're like, we're up here and you're like way down here, bro, on your knowledge of the case.
Yeah.
I'm giving you facts, and not one of them is pointed to James Files being legitimate yet. Just saying.
Yeah.
Now, there was a lot of other bullets or shells found in Dealey Plaza throughout the years, despite the one that James Files claims, which we'll get to in a second. There was something called the Barbie specimen, and this was a 30 caliber M1 carbine bullet found embedded in a rooftop near the Stemmons Freeway in 1966. A quarter mile from the school book depository. It was examined by the FBI in 1967. They showed little interest at the time due to the fact that the Warren Commission had already came to their conclusion and closed the case. Does it mean anything? Probably not. Then there was the Haythorne specimen. This was a 30-06 jacketed soft point bullet found on the roof of the Massey building, which is 8 blocks away from the school book depository, which is pretty goddamn far. In 1967, it was examined by the HSCA in 1978 and determined to be manufactured by Remington. It was a 30-06. Again, 8 blocks away from the school book depository. I don't know about that. The Lester specimen was a 52.7 grain rear bullet fragment found in Dealey Plaza, only 500 yards from the school book depository in 1974. It was a 4-groove jacketed soft point or hollow point, possibly 6.5 millimeter, but definitely not a Carcano bullet. The FBI showed no interest whatsoever in this specimen. Then we have the Dowtech specimen. This was a rusted shell casing found on the roof of the Dowtech building in 1977. It had crimped edges, suggesting either that it had been reloaded, it was a reloaded bullet or a hand-loaded bullet, or it was part of a sabot round, which means it was fitted into a larger shell casing in order to be fired from a certain kind of rifle. Then we have the Walder bullet. Shit. This was a separate bullet listed as submitted for testing to the HSCA.
I do that all the time, Rob. Don't worry.
It does not appear in any of the evidence listings. It just simply disappeared. The Belmont bullet. FBI Administrator Alan Belmont reported to FBI Deputy Director Clyde Tolson on November 22nd that a bullet had been found lodged behind the president's ear, but there was no further mention of it afterward, especially not in the autopsy, which is a problem.
That's a problem.
I've seen that report.
Yeah.
Then we have the Luster cartridge. The Dallas Morning News reported on November 23rd, 78, that Hal Luster had found a fully intact, unfired 45 caliber ACP pistol cartridge in 76 beside the concrete retaining wall on the Grassy Knoll. And again, which brings us now to the file shell, or shells, since there was actually 2 of them found there. One of them had a dent in it, right? The other one did not. And remember, File said he only fired 1 shot, not 2.
Right.
So why are there 2 identical shells there?
Mm-hmm.
And these weren't found until like the 70s or 80s.
Right. Yeah, I think you said 15 years later after 63. I think you said 77, 14, 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was determined that the shell casing wasn't even manufactured until after 1971. So how could files bite a bullet in 1963 that wasn't manufactured until 71? Again, there's nothing, no facts here. No facts here.
No.
Well, I don't know where you've been doing your research, Chris, because I ain't found nothing corroborating James Files' story. I found only things that disprove his story. Now, let me show you a picture, Joe, and I'll hand it off to you because this will dovetail into something that you have, I believe. Let's see.
Hopefully.
No, it does.
Hopefully I have it.
You do.
I'll let you know.
You do.
Okay.
I wouldn't throw you a softball.
All right.
A curveball.
I appreciate that. Well, a slider.
Allegedly.
By the way, Rob, do you know how many times they use the word allegedly in the household? Probably every day.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. Here we have a picture.
Okay.
Of the, I believe it's the model 22 or XP100 Fireball, right? Now, I'm not sure. Allegedly, this is the early prototype. Allegedly, it was called a varmint gun used to, shoot rats and shit. I guess for fun and groundhogs and whatnot. It's a bolt action pistol is basically what it is. Now, what the difference here?
That looks really fun, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool looking gun. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. If I was a kid in the 60s or 70s, I would definitely F with that, you know?
Yeah. But now here is I believe, a model that came out the very next year. And I believe there's a slightly different caliber size. There's like a difference between a 221 and a 222 and a 223. Right?
Right.
Look at the size of the barrel on this, Joe. You see how it sticks out? About, I don't know, 4 or 5
inches. Yeah.
3, 4, 5 inches.
Few inches. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to go back to the other photo. Look how long the barrel is on this one. It's not very long.
It doesn't go as long out of the barrel as the previous photo. Right.
To me, this is a glorified
protrude
pistol. This is a bolt action pistol.
Yes.
With a scope. Now, this is the one. This is the model that he said he had in 1963 that has not been released to the public yet. Of course, kind of like Beverly Oliver's camera. Another fraud, by the way, Chris, if you're keeping score at home. Again, he said it looked more like a sawed-off rifle, which is what this one looks like, that I believe didn't come out until 64, 65. It does have a slightly longer barrel.
That's what she said.
And a longer reach in the back. And the scope is mounted more towards the middle of the gun or rifle or whatever the hell this thing is. So that's a slight problem when we get to talking about the ammo, which I believe you had something about that, Joe. Maybe.
Yes. I mean, I believe you talked about how he said it was a 221, right? Round?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we're going to get into his first, or let me restate, his first half, or maybe first third, if I'm being more accurate, of his statement to the Dutch production company, which of course is also a problem. It's not in the documents. It's to a production company while he's imprisoned. So you have to keep all these things.
Well, I don't know what his motivation was. I mean, he's just been sentenced to 50 years in prison?
50 years, yeah.
All right. So what's your play if you don't want to spend 50 more years in prison? Is your play to maybe cut a deal and admit to something that you didn't do, but maybe finally solve a case, and maybe you think they'll give you a deal or something?
Well, Rob, I'm gonna bring it back to my point, and in terms of this is right in the middle of the ARB, the Assassination Records Review Board, right, where they're actually reviewing actual files.
Yeah.
Muddy the fucking waters if you're the intelligence community. That's, I think, a possible explanation as to why he could have gotten a better deal, if you will, or whatever.
I don't buy the CIA put him up to this, Joe.
No, I didn't even say the CIA. It could be whoever. I mean,
He's a Kafusa, just
or
like Judy Baker. I mean,
yeah, but I'm saying muddy the waters, fuck with everything you can, and just make everyone.
they didn't
Like,
need to at that point, Joe.
I'm saying the ARB was actually doing pretty decent work. I wouldn't put it
And it
past.
just started in '94.
I wouldn't put it past them. Is what I'm saying.
Mm,
So
I don't think so. But
I'm just bringing it up as a possibility. Listen, this is a discussion point. I'm not arguing one way or the other. I'm just saying when I'm reading this, I'm looking at the timeline and I'm saying, interesting.
oh, I'm looking at files and I'm thinking about the timeline and I'm thinking that's interesting.
Well, you have the JFK movie coming out, the year before he comes out? What was it, 91, 92?
It's the same year he got arrested.
I know, but I'm saying, why not muddy the waters? Why not use some scafuza, shave a couple years, shave a couple years, and muddy the waters? That's all I'm bringing up, and I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying that's what came to my mind when I was looking at the timing.
Okay.
What? What's so ridiculous about that?
I just don't see him needing to do something like that. And why did they pick this dumb fuck to do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, you would need to pick a dumb fuck because we have dumb fucks fucking right now in the comment section. You know what I mean? So it obviously had some effect. You know what I mean? I don't know. I really don't know the answer. But
I think you're throwing a conspiracy theory out there without any evidence to back it up.
Yeah, well, that's in honor of James Files. All right, share my shit, bruh. This fucking layers. Oh man, is this happening?
We're sharing.
Is this happening again?
Oh, Johnny Black Screen.
Johnny Black Screen. All right, well, Rob, I found files on James Files pre 1963.
Oh, yeah. It's not him.
I know. I was seeing if you were to catch that. James Files was James E. Files, not James J. Files, but it did come up in my search. And it has to do with some, I don't know, scafuzery, a lounge, and...
He was an FBI agent in Mississippi.
Yeah, but ironically, Biloxi was somewhere where Oswald was stationed for training, which is just a coincidence, I believe. But I thought it would be funny. I'm not suggesting anything. I just wanted to joke that I found some files on files.
Yeah.
This is the files on files I found. So, all right. Oh man, let's go through my PowerPoint. So, let's go to February of 1994, where, of course, the FBI is on top of most scafuzery that is going on, foolishness. This is the end of February, actually the last day, I think, if there was, it's not a leap year. James Files inmate, Houston Airtel to director. Caption: James Files inmate, Joliet in Illinois. Blah blah blah. Captioned. I'm gonna skip through some of this. Memorandum of Dallas.
You can skip that whole paragraph.
Yeah, okay. Enclosed for DL are copies of reference communications, Houston Airtel, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, again, on my birthday, CG. I don't know what that means. Chief of Group? That's a guess. Interviewed James Files on August 9th, 93, and reported results on Form FD 302. So he has a 302 file now. Files is an inmate at the Illinois Department of Corrections. The assassination of John F. Kennedy, and alleges that he himself was an active participant in the assassination. CG has advised that Files' information lacks credibility and corroboration. So this is even before this Dutch company and production company interviews him. They're like, bro, like,
Yeah, this is when Joe West is still alive, and he wants to interview him while he's in prison.
all right. Well, it does say Joe West deceased here.
Oh, okay.
It might have been just when he was deceased. Maybe he interviewed him a little bit before. DL is requested, blah, 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 blah. So now we get to, again, we were in February 94. Now we're in March 94. And this is when we have the videotaped interview with James Files. And if you want to Google it, just Google James Files. You'll fucking find it. If you're,
It's all over YouTube.
yeah,
Millions of views.
if you can't get off this channel. But I will say this, Rob, and I think I said it before. Dude is convincing. He's very affirmative in his statements, and he does have a decent amount of knowledge where the Scafuzas, the foolish people, could take him for his word.
Before, where these liars have convinced themselves that they really are part of the story.
Right.
Look no further than Judith Baker. Look no further than Beverly Oliver. Look no further than James Files. Look no further than Chauncey. I mean, we can sit here and list everybody that's claimed to be a part of the assassination over the years.
No. I'm just saying, as I was watching the interview, as I was preparing for the show, he sounded somewhat convincing. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm saying,
I know. I'm saying,
I'm saying like
have the same thing in common.
He did his homework.
If you watch Judy Baker talk, she's done her homework as well.
Right. Well, I'm saying like this dude, obviously in jail, had a lot of time in the Statesville Correctional Center in Illinois State Penitentiary. Joliet, Illinois, had time to do his homework.
Yeah,
which is why I think so many people think his story is legitimate. I, for the record, give a 0.00% chance that.
I mean, even 1 year, if you've got nothing else to do, is a long fucking time, bro.
Right.
To read and make notes and go over things and get things straight in your head.
And in prison, what else the fuck are you gonna do?
Exactly. What else are you gonna do?
Right. So, I think on Wednesday's show, when I get back from the archives, we will play some of that, because that is obviously, we won't get dinged from a copyright aspect from it. Maybe the second part of it, but I clipped the first part of it. Who is Charles Nicoletti? And again, I'm skipping because this is like 50 plus pages, and I'm not going to read 50 pages. Charles Nicoletti, file says, at the time he was an up-and-coming figure with organized crime, and he was known as one of the local hitmen. As far as I'm concerned, he was the best that ever lived, as far as I'm concerned. So thanks for reiterating that, Mr.
Again,
Files.
easy to talk about and then blame somebody who's already dead.
Right. What mafia family did he work for? He was out of the Chicago family. Who would have been the boss of the Chicago family at that time? Tony Accardo, and this is what I was mentioning. Like he mentioned, like he said Accardo like without hesitation, right? So that's all I'm saying. I'm not giving any credence to his claims whatsoever. I'm just saying like he sounds convincing when you watch the video.
Was the
James,
Carter the boss in '63, or was Giancana?
was Giancana in Mexico at that time?
No, he didn't go until like '67, like later.
Okay, then you could be wrong about that too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of when you actually like dig deep into it, there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of problems with the story. James, Files, where were you on November 22nd, 63? I was in Dealey Plaza. I arrived at Dealey Plaza shortly before 10 a.m. that morning. Again, if you were actually in Dealey Plaza and you're in jail, and this is what, 94, you said he got arrested in 91, a 50-year sentence. Why the hell, just thought experiment, why the hell would you admit to being involved in the assassination of the president? How could that help you in any way?
Yeah, here you go, Joe. In 1957, Accardo turned down the official position as boss of Chicago because of heat from the IRS.
57?
Yep.
Okay.
He stepped away from the day-to-day running of the organization, still retaining considerable power, though, and
Right.
demanding respect, but not officially being boss. Giancana stepped in with the grace of Accardo and Enrica on major business, including murder. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Pay attention, Chris. My reason for being there at this point was to look the area over. This would be Dealey Plaza. I had driven a vehicle down there and I had taken several weapons to Dallas. For what purpose did you do this? I did this for the sole purpose of the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Okay. Who instructed you to do this, James? Tell me the story in your words. The story started back, roughly 6 months prior to that, when Mr. Nicoletti contacted me one evening and I had met with him and he instructed me that he was going to do a friend of mine. It was more like a personal joke because I had never liked John F. Kennedy since the Chianos Bay affair, which was the Bay of Pigs. Where were you at the Bay of Pigs, Jimmy? James Files. No, I was not at the Bay of Pigs, but I had helped train several of the operatives that were involved at the Bay of Pigs. Okay.
Right. Yeah, he was down there with Jerry Hemming at the No Name Key.
Yeah, when he had a break from his driving job of Nicoletti, right?
Yeah, when he wasn't in layouts with the SEALs.
Right. Well, that was a little before, but still, yeah. He puts himself everywhere, right?
Hey.
Which is a problem. I helped train them on what we called Gator Ridge back then. Some people refer to it as No Name Key. Some people call it Assassin Ridge. It was in the Everglades down there in Florida. We worked solely with the Cubans at that time. We had supplied them with weapons. The weapons had come basically from the government, from the CIA. They had been heavily involved in that. And at that time, David Atlee Phillips was my controller. Here we go. So I had never liked Kennedy since he had backed out on us and we didn't get enough firepower, and I felt that we had been betrayed. Okay, I guess you're a Cuban exile now, right?
Yeah, the guy who was in charge of the Western Hemisphere operations was his controller. Sure.
Yeah. But at that point, I had never even considered killing anybody at all over the situation. But when Charles Nicoletti told me that we were going to do my friend, I thought they were referring to a local party in town. And I said, "Why the hell? What the hell did he do?" He laughed. He goes, "No, not him." This is Nicoletti. Laughed. "No, not him. we're going to do JFK, the president. I was a little bit shocked at first, but I said, fine. Hey, fine, great. Doesn't matter to me. I was game for anything he wanted to do. And then we discussed it, and he asked me what I thought about Johnny Rosselli working with us. And I said, hey, fine. I like Johnny. Got no problems there.
Because he knew Johnny Roselli before November 22nd, 63.
Right. And was Nicoletti really going to ask Files about his opinion on Rosselli? I mean, Rosselli was much higher when you think about the mafia plots than Files. So why would Nicoletti ask about Rosselli?
Well, and at that time, I don't think Johnny Rosselli was spending very much time in Chicago in 1963 or 62.
It stinks, man. So you knew Johnny Rosselli before that day. I knew Johnny Rosselli before that day. How did you know him? I had met Johnny Rosselli in Miami and discussed a few things with him. So now he's involved in the Mafia Plaza as well. And I had met him through David Atlee Phillips. We talked about this.
All right, let me stop you right there because Johnny Rosselli's CIA handler was William Harvey,
Right.
not David Atlee Phillips.
Correct.
So
Correct.
please continue.
Yeah. David Atlee Phillips was an operative for the CIA. Great. You read that in a book in the fucking 90s. Though time everyone got to be fairly well good friends, but I grew up basically under Nicoletti's wing. Chuck had told me we were going to do it. We'd first originally planned to do the assassination in Chicago, but a lot of people didn't like that idea, so then it was moved to another location. Like they're gonna fill him in on all this shit, right? Like get the fuck out of here. When would you say we planned it? Could you clarify we? Well, when I say we, Files continues. I was just with Mr. Nicoletti. Whatever he said do, I would do. When I say we, I'm referring like the only thing I did was just drive the car or whatever that they needed the car. Mr. Nicoletti had asked me at that point when we decided not to do it in Chicago. So again, he's in on these conversations. And it was going to be moved to Dallas when JFK had decided to go to Dallas. A week in advance, I took a 1963 Chevrolet that we had at the time. I left and I went down a week earlier. I picked up the weapons from a storage bin that we had and loaded them in the car and everything that I thought we might need with a various assortment. And I left and I drove to Dallas. I stayed at a place at, like you mentioned earlier, Rob, Mesquite, Texas. Once I got there, I called back and notified Mr. Nicoletti that I was there and I was on the scene. The following day, Lee Harvey Oswald came by the motel where I was at. They had given him my location, and he took me out to a place somewhere southeast of Mesquite where I test fired the weapons and calibrated the scopes on anything that might be needed. Then he was with me for a few days in town, which we talked about. So Lee Oswald spent time with you. He knew why you were there. You knew why he was there. Lee Harvey Oswald knew that I was there, but I never told him why I was there, Rob. He had just
spending many days together and sighting in weapons and showing him around the best exit points of Dallas. They never talked about killing the president. Sure.
Correct.
Right.
He had just come over and been told, and again, he was over in June of 62, so he had, I don't know if he meant come over from Russia, and Lee had been told to stay with me and to help me out and assist in any way he could. Lee Harvey Oswald and I never discussed the assassination of JFK. I discussed that with no one because of my part of it. I had no part of the assassination at that time. All I did was go down, take the car down, take the weapons down, clean the weapons, calibrate the scopes. That's all I did. Make sure everything. I skipped a little bit over.
Right, because David Atlee Phillips was, of course, Lee Harvey Oswald's handler as well, as we pull from another fucking story.
Right. Right. Johnny Roselli said we were going to meet a man by the name of Jack Ruby. Can't go anywhere without name dropping Jack Ruby, of course.
Oh, yeah.
That he had some things we had to pick up. When we got there, Johnny Roselli told me that he said, I'm going to go in and sit in a booth. He says, you wait and come in later. He says, sit somewhere else where you can keep an eye on me. I'm trying to figure out the wording of that because it's not making sense to me.
He's basically saying, you come in after me and sit somewhere where you can keep an eye on me in case something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Cover my ass.
Well, that's the next. I don't know if you read it, but that's the next partial sentence in case something goes wrong. I want you to cover my backside. Well, Jack Ruby might have said that. I will give Files that. That's a joke. Was it not good?
Well, he was talking to Files, allegedly, not Ruby. Or Ruby didn't say that.
Oh, okay. I just saw backside and I thought Ruby. So I positioned myself after Johnny Roselli went in. I sit at the counter, ordered a cup of coffee, and then we waited, blah, 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 blah.
Now, let me ask you a question before you read that first 5 words of this sentence. Would you describe Jack Ruby as a real heavy-set gentleman?
Not real heavy set, no.
No, me either.
No. I mean, he was like plumpy, if you will, right? Had a
I don't
little.
know about that, man.
I mean, he might have had a little bit of a gut on him. He might have been thicker than, say, Lee Harvey Oswald, who was maybe like 150.
Well, yeah, but I guarantee Ruby was probably around 185. I mean, it wasn't like he was 275 or something, you know.
Right, but it's not this real heavy
No.
set gentleman. That's very different.
Yeah.
Right. And he went over. He knew Roselli. I assume they shook hands. I assume because they shook hands, they talked for a minute and then they sit down together in the booth. They passed over. Jack Ruby was Jewish, so Passover. I'm going to say probably a 5.9 inch envelope. 5.9 envelope. A manila envelope that had some material in it at that point. Now, Rob, does this remind you of the Lawrence Howard story? Not saying that that was the size of the envelope, but
Thomas Beckham, Lawrence Howard story where he took an envelope to Dallas and gave it to Lawrence Howard.
correct. So again, he's like kind of picking pieces from the whole story. After a couple of minutes, he got up, they shook hands, he left. I went out to the parking lot, made sure the air was clear. Okay? Started the car up, pulled up by the door. Johnny Roselli came out and got in the car. I never met Jack Ruby, never said hello or anything. Roselli got in the car with me, and we started back to Dallas. He opened the envelope, and there was an identification in there for Secret Service people, which Rob, you mentioned earlier.
And real quick, James Files didn't meet Hemming until after he returned from Laos. Hemming never admitted to meeting James Files. And Hemming lived well into the 2000s. And was still actively being interviewed about things and being active on the education forum answering questions. And he never corroborated James Files' bullshit about being named key. So,
And that kind of says a lot, Rob, because Hemming made up a lot of stories, as we know here.
yeah.
He opened the envelope, and there were. Oh, we said that already. Nicoletti. I cut it off. Mr. Nicoletti came down and got in the car with me, and we drove to Dealey Plaza. Now, again, we're on the morning of the 22nd. We got to Dealey Plaza shortly before 10 o'clock. From there, we parked the car. It had been drizzling rain that morning. Again, reading much, Mr. Files? Kind of a cool morning out. I had parked the car beside the Daltex building. Mr. Nicoletti and I got out and we walked up and down the complete area of Dealey Plaza. We covered every corner, walked by the buildings, looked over several different things. We were just talking, having casual talk about the weather and everything. At about 10:30, Nicoletti asked me how I would feel in supporting him. So now you don't know what's going on? I don't know. I'm trying to keep track of this. And backing him up on this. And he told me I wouldn't fire unless it became absolutely necessary. I told Nicoletti, Jesus, I'd be honored to do anything to back you up. He asked me, if you was to be outside here, would you position yourself at the Dealey Plaza? I told him, I said, well, from looking everything over and from walking it in the week I've been down here, I think I would choose up there behind the tree, behind the stockade fence on the high ridge by the knoll up there. He says, why there? I says, well, I've got the railroad track in the back of me. Well, we've got a parking lot there, and I've got a place where I could stash whatever I would need. I said I could pass myself as a railroad worker in the railroad yard for the time being, until that time. Rob, before we continue, whose story is he stealing this from now?
Yeah. The deaf mute, Ed Hoffman.
Yep.
I mean, he's pulling stuff from everywhere.
From his...
And most of the people's stories that he's pulling from are dead.
Right. What was the last word? I said I could pass myself as a railroad worker in the railroad yard for the time being. Until that time... I skipped a bit. Something walked around through there and seemed pretty well pleased with that. Then at that point, it was about 11:10.
Because, a railroad worker with a briefcase doesn't stand out.
Right. He asked me what weapon I would choose to use over there. I told him I would like to use the fireball. He said, hey, and why that one? He said, you've only got one shot. I said, one shot's all I'm going to get anyway, if I will. Until the last moment of fire, and I may not fire, I said. And it's easy to conceal, and I carry it in a briefcase, and nobody will pay attention to me. And it's easier to walk away from there. And that's exactly what we did at that point. Shortly before noon, we went back to the vehicle. I look at the briefcase. I look the briefcase out. And, sorry, excuse me.
Please clear that out of there.
Yeah. I look the briefcase out and turn my jacket inside out. I went back into the yard, the railroad yard there. I secured the briefcase, then I hung out back there and I walked down on the grassy knoll. No one paid any attention. People were gathering. Shortly before the motorcade came, I went back up there and started securing myself in a better position so I'd be able to reach the attaché case at the point, the briefcase. I knew once that I opened the briefcase up and pulled the weapon out, nobody's going to be looking at me. The motorcade would be coming. So, didn't even set up. Making it first time, and I wouldn't have to remove it. Hold on. and I wouldn't have to remove the fireball, sorry, from the briefcase, the gun, and until approximately they made the first turn on Elm. And I'm skipping a little bit ahead here. And we're getting into the shot sequence here. That he had been hit in the body, that I didn't know what part at the time. I had seen the body lurch, and I saw the body lurch again. I had another shot that missed. Okay. We were supposed to hit no one but Connolly. Huh? I mean, no one but Mr. Kennedy. I guess. Oh, he says we didn't mean to hit Connolly. I guess Governor Connolly got hit with one of the rounds at that point. I wasn't even sure at that because I was keeping Kennedy as best I could in the scope of the fireball. When I got to the point where I thought it would be the last field of fire, I had zeroed in on the left side of the head. Again, too specific for me.
Too much detail.
Yes, that I had, because if I wait any longer than there's no that, then Jacqueline Kennedy would have been in the line of fire, and I had been instructed for nothing to happen to her. And at that moment, I figured this is my last chance for a shot, and he had still not been hit in the head. So, as I fired that round, Mr. Nicoletti and I fired approximately at the same time as the head started forward and it went backward. I would have to say that his shell struck approximately 1,000th of a second ahead of mine. Maybe because that's what started pushing the head forward, which caused me to miss the left eye, and I came in on the left side of the temple.
And again, who aims for somebody's fucking eyeball when they're shooting at somebody? Like, really? You're aiming at an eyeball. Come on, man.
Right. He's obviously read a lot. At that point, through the scope, I witnessed everything. Matter and skull, brain blown out. That's a typo. Brain blown out. To the lack of the limousine, and everyone in television watching saw Jackie Kennedy crawl out there to get it. I watched her hold it in her hand. How did you exit the plaza? They asked. Well, when I exited the plaza, I walked out to the edge of the stockade fence. I did not walk down the steps. I walked back over, crossed the grass to the dead end street that ends there by the parking lot, and I proceeded to. I believe that's Houston. Crossed Houston, went into the Daltex parking lot. So I guess he's saying he went out the back, ish.
Oh yeah, well, I'll show you James Files leaving Dealey Plaza here in a minute.
Okay. When I got into the car, Mr. Nicoletti, who was obviously in the Daltex building, was already in the car, and so was Johnny Roselli. I got in the car and drove away. Question: what happened to the shell casing that you fired at John Kennedy? The shell casing that I fired at JFK when I took out the weapon, it's one of those moments where you feel like everything else, and I guess I was a little bit cocky with it all. I took the casing and I put it in my mouth hole. There's a joke in there somewhere. I put another casing cartridge into that one. Before putting it into the case, and as I started to leave, I took the casing and I put it down on the casing to leave teeth marks on it as I set the casing as a symbol right on the top of the stockade fence, where I know I should have never done that, but I did that. Oh man. Over the years though, Continued. Other people, I have left certain people, I have left certain trademarks along the way. Oh, yeah, that's a smart move. But the casing was mine and it had teeth marks on it, and no one knew it was teeth marks until recently in 1994. And they just had examined to find out that it was teeth marks on there. But I left it more or less as a signature of my calling card. How how did John Roselli and Nicoletti get into the Daltex building? That I could not say, but I would believe that they went through the front door. We had a side door they would be exiting from, and I had parked the burgundy colored Chevrolet there, the 63 I was driving. I'd parked that in the lot there, but when they entered the Daltex building, I was not there. I was on site back into the railroad yard at that point. Are you sure that they were in the Daltex building? Question. I'm positive because I had the car parked there. They were going to come out through the door, pull their weapon. Well, Johnny Roselli had no weapon. Nicoletti was the one that carried the rifle in there. Again, how would you know that? That had been secured, and he put that back in the trunk of the vehicle. Oh, I thought he would. I thought he took. Oh, he took his rifle out from the railroad yard. Okay, I'm just trying to keep track of the story. I knew that was in the trunk because it was still there when I got to the motel. I took it out because that was the plan, was for him to come out, put it in his trunk. I would have the briefcase. I would slide something. So, what do you think about that? The first moments of his first statement, Rob.
It's complete horseshit. Way too much detail.
Unnecessary detail.
Yeah, it's almost like he's painting a picture that he wants you to see, but and feel, and it's a good story. But again, we know all about people with good stories.
Right.
They're not always true. Some of the best storytellers in the world are complete frauds and fakes.
Right.
Again, look no further than Judy Baker.
So I did find some ARRB files on this because they did briefly look into this and part of an extremely long document. In the morning of 1990, in the spring of 92, the late George West, the founder of Truth, which just by that name should probably tell you it's not truth, received a call from Beaumont, Texas. The FBI agent Zach Shelton, who you referred to earlier, Agent Shelton requested an off the record meeting with Mr. West at a location between Boston and Beaumont. Agents. Oh, Houston and Beaumont. You're right. Yeah, it looked like a B. Thank you, sir. Agent Shelton and private investigator West also had a second meeting at which noted Houston criminal attorney Don Irving was present. During the course of the meetings, Agent Shelton, a former member of the Organized Crime Task Force in Chicago, provided Mr. West and attorney Irving with a lead on James E. Files, alias James E. Sutton, a male Caucasian from Chicago, currently incarcerated in the Statesville Correctional Center in Illinois. Mr. Files is serving a 50-year term for attempted murder of 2 police officers. His FBI rap sheet indicates a life filled with violent crimes. Agent Shelton informed Investigator West and Attorney Irving that the FBI had previously gathered information from an informant that Mr. Files had knowledge of the events that occurred in Dealey Plaza. So, again, this is kind of beginning ARB area. Agent Shelton verified that Mr. Files was an associate and driver / bodyguard for one Charles Nicoletti, a known mafia hitman from Chicago. Shelton further stated that he had long suspected that Chicago mobsters Sam Giancana, Nicoletti, and Roselli were involved in the assassination of JFK, but that he had no hard evidence to support his beliefs. On August 16th and 17th, 1992, after an extensive search to locate the prisoner, West spent several hours questioning James Files. During the 17th 92 interview meeting, Mr. Files confessed that he was involved in the JFK assassination. Mr. Files confessed that he was present in Dealey Plaza and that Nicoletti and Roselli were also present in Dealey Plaza. He further confessed that he had been recruited and worked for the CIA since the early 60s, later becoming a driver for Nicoletti of the Chicago Mafia. Investigator West died from complications following open heart surgery in 1993, conveniently right around the time Files was confessing, after filing legal action to examine the body of JFK. And it goes on and on and on and more bullshit. And this was, in closing, we ask that you consider recommending to the president and to the American people that a special grand jury be called to bear the testimony of Q.D. Erdai and Robert Plumley and most certainly James Files. But again, this is written by a mob defense lawyer. So, all right, I'm stopping sharing now.
Okay.
A lot of scafoozery abound, sir.
Yeah, and here's some more for you. According to James Files, James Sutton, his FBI rap sheet, which is number 66945E, actually dates back to 1959 when he was supposed to be
in Laos.
Includes several minor crimes as well as some for armed violence, aggravated assault, explosives, numerous counts of interstate transportation of stolen motor vehicles, running a chop shop, served time in North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Illinois throughout the 70s and 80s. Let's see. So, if he has an FBI rap sheet dating back to 1959, then he couldn't have been in Laos.
Right. Because you think he'd be in airborne training before then, or earlier 59, if he was. I'm just saying hypothetically.
And again, in 1959, he was 17 years old. Okay.
Right.
So, I just don't know how anybody can believe this horse shit.
I don't know either.
Now, let me, I'm going to show you guys a little, well, I'm going to tell you something first, but, of course, he claimed he was in the 82nd Airborne, right? But that the CIA erased his military history, service record, because, he was a super secret operative, right?
Yeah, of course.
You know who corroborates Files' story?
I do not, but pretty certain it's a Scafusa.
It's another Scafusa and proved liar who's been debunked, Chris, named Fletcher Prouty.
Oh my God. He really did?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, not looking good for Mr. Files. Now I'm going to show you guys a frame from the Zapruder film where Files claims that Abraham Zapruder captured him on the Zapruder film behind the Grassy Knoll fence. Okay, you ready for this one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is frame 475 of the Zapruder film. Let me see if I can make this thing any bigger.
That's what she said.
I'm trying to make it like super huge, as big as I can get it. We got to feed this fucking piece of film 20 Viagra. Okay. Again, allegedly, this is frame 475 of the Zapruder film, where James Files claims that it captures him down here behind the Grassy Knoll fence wearing a fedora. Anybody see, Joe, do you see anybody standing behind the Grassy Knoll picket fence there wearing a fedora?
I'm looking, but no.
I'm looking too. I mean, I see something.
I see some bushes. I see some person, and I reiterate, I do believe someone was shooting behind there, but I don't know if this is them. Yeah, correct. I don't see a fedora.
I don't see a fedora either. So let me show y'all another picture. Let's see.
Sorry, I was muted. I agree. The entire military Laos story is completely absurd.
Oh, let me shrink this back down to the screen size here. Now, Joe, you've probably seen this picture before.
Stop making me make jokes. Okay, yes. Go ahead.
How am I making you make jokes? I just said you've probably seen this picture before.
You said, let me shrink this down.
Oh.
Sorry. My mind's in the gutter. Yes, there we go. I see it.
So you see the Newmans are still on the ground here. This is relatively not long after the assassination, as we all know.
Right.
All right. We got the photographers taking pictures of the Newmans. Scafusa's still on his motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
We got the high school boys up there in the pergola. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We got a woman to their right behind the pole. It looks like with a skirt on, maybe. I can't remember her name. But if we scroll over this way, there's a dude in a suit. Looks like maybe a longer overcoat, dark color. Just standing there looking ominous. And then there's the Stemmons Freeway sign, right? It looks like another photographer rushing over to the Newmans to take a picture. And oh, look, there's Dark Complected Man and the Umbrella Man sitting on the curb, Joe.
Wow.
See them?
I do.
All right. Well, look up behind the Umbrella Man to the low white wall of the pergola and the tree line back there, and you'll see a mysterious
dark figure or dark shadow. Yeah.
Shadowy figure walking away carrying a briefcase, wearing a fedora. Allegedly, James Files.
But also, Rob, and that figure is extremely interesting. Unfortunately, we don't know much about it, but he's talking about fleeing and scouting out exit routes through the railroad yard in this interview.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess he could have went from the railroad yard to that.
well,
Uh,
not necessarily. If he's going in that direction from the pergola, he's going down the Elm Street extension right in front of the school book depository, not around the backside of it
right,
through the railroad yard.
right. And as someone that has stood behind those fences, literally multiple years, you, unless you're hopping the fence, which no one has reported, you're really not. You have to go way around, like towards the Lee Bowers Tower almost to like get around.
Right, which is the way you would go instead of walking straight behind the pergola down in front of the school book depository. If you were attempting to, clandestinely, secretly get the hell out of Dealey Plaza, you wouldn't go on the most direct route. And it directly contradicts what Files himself said.
Right.
He said he went through the railroad yard around the backside to where the Elm Street dead ended
That is
to
true.
get in the car. So you'd have to go around the backside of the school book depository to do that.
When you're right, you're right.
Again, nothing about Files' story adds up at all. Not one thing can be corroborated that has come out of this dude's mouth, whether it be his claims of military service, his claims of working for Chicky Nicoletti. Apparently, he's been keeping a secret. He's been keeping a secret, Nicoletti's secret ledger.
Oh, another one of those.
Yeah, that he just won't release yet until he doesn't want to release until after he's dead.
Yeah. He's in great danger. Yes.
So, and again, I won't name any active or people that are in the mafia that are still alive. Again, I could see you maybe saying that in 1994, but I doubt there's anybody alive who was in the mafia back then who was allegedly involved in the JFK assassination that are still alive to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, and if they are, just for argument's sake, they're fucking walking around with a fucking cane, like not being
They're in a
able.
wheelchair like he is. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
really, you afraid they're gonna get whacked? I mean, you got one foot in the grave, my friend, at this point.
And if you were afraid to get whacked, why sit out on the grassy knoll? Which is why I'll hand it off to you for your story, your personal.
Again, if the FBI or this government, any aspect of it, the state of Texas, anybody like that, thought that James Files had any credibility whatsoever, I mean, they clearly have a confession from this man. Okay. They don't deem him as credible. Like, it wouldn't hold up in court.
No way.
Even though they have a confession.
No way.
It's not enough.
Right.
Because there is absolutely zero evidence to back up his claims. And if you think the FBI hasn't looked at it, unless you're Joe and think there's some great grand conspiracy of confusery going on, that he was sent to muddy the waters.
No, my point was, like, why give credence to the Scafusa unless you wanted to muddy the waters? That's my point.
Well, that's the thing. If they gave him credence, they would arrest him and charge him with the crime. Same with Judy Baker. She's admitted to all kinds of crimes.
Right, but you don't have to arrest him and charge him to muddy the waters, is also my point.
No, I'm saying if he was legitimate, they would arrest him and charge him.
Right. And if he was legitimate, listen, I'm not arguing on the part of James Files. I'm making a very nuanced argument. You also wouldn't sit on the grassy knoll and sell shit for once you got out of prison.
JFK Jr. was in the fucking Dealey Plaza last year selling a book. Allegedly.
I saw him. I know.
Okay. Judy Baker and Beverly
I met him.
Sit there every year on the fucking grassy knoll and sing the fucking Star Spangled Banner.
I know. I was there.
James Files wanders around the Grassy Knoll, telling everybody that'll listen that he shot Kennedy, and posed for a picture with you.
Yeah, but I'm really trying to go back to the 1994, if you will, and would it be somewhat advantageous to muddy the waters then? That's what I'm trying to say. And
he wasn't the one that tried to muddy the waters. He was approached by Joe West and Bob Vernon. Because they got a hot tip.
But he
so now those guys are working for the CIA too to muddy the waters?
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, they let it fester, I guess that is the word. Because they're like, fuck it, this is obviously bullshit. There's going to be scafoozas.
The CIA Mockingbird media would have been totally behind this story instead of actually investigating it and determining it was horseshit. If that was the case, it would have been a Dick Clark production.
But why do that, Rob? Why do that when you just let it fester and muddy the waters? Like, you don't even need to, like, put your energy into debunking it, because you're like, yeah, let this.
I'm just saying, Joe, you didn't need to muddy the waters with anything. The muddies at that point, the waters have been muddied for 35, 40 years by then.
Right, but this is at the start of the ARB, which is why I think, like, they were just like, fuck it, just let this scafooze, let this foolish guy spout his bullshit, and, what's it to us?
There's some force behind manipulating this. He would have been on the 8 o'clock fucking primetime NBC special, but he wasn't.
He was in jail, but yeah.
Yeah, well, somebody interviewed him on camera, and it wasn't nobody.
It was Dutch.
Special.
It was a Dutch documentary, or someone from Denmark, or some Denmark documentary.
You pay off the right people, you can fucking videotape anybody's interview in prison. They interviewed Charles Manson in prison.
Yeah. I'm just saying, at that point, why not just ignore it and let it just grow?
They did ignore it.
They did. There are some documents
mainstream media ignored it.
Yeah. I mean, there are some basic documents, as we talk about with the flow of documents. If you make claims like that and you're getting interviewed, you're going to get, FBI documents talking about it, which I showed. I'm just saying there's a lot of different.
Not necessarily. I mean, look at Judy Baker. There is no files about her.
Mm-hmm.
She came out in the late 90s and started talking all this bullshit.
But there's no files about files other than files getting a documentary in jail.
Right.
Right. So I'm saying, like, why not? I could see.
Interviewed her. Fucking Lancer interviewed Judy Baker in 1998. Deborah Conway did.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote a book. Wrote a book.
My point is that I could see them being like, this is just going to make things more convoluted, more silly. Let's just fucking let it go down, type of thing. That's all I'm saying.
You can't stop free enterprise, Joe.
Yeah, obviously, but
okay.
I'm saying, like, why would you want, if you were the FBI or the CIA, like, why would you even want to, like, step in at that point? You would just, like, do your...
Because you have somebody admitting to pulling the trigger and killing the president?
Right, but we already ascertained that it was...
It's a little different than Judy Baker's admissions.
We already ascertained that it was bullshit from the beginning and everyone knew it. But my point is not that.
At that time when he first came out, nobody knew his background. Nobody really looked into anything.
Well, what was his background?
They had to investigate him to figure it the fuck out. They determined he was full of shit.
Which is why there are some basic documents on him, initial ones, like the standard. This guy's giving an interview. He's saying this type of thing. That's
Right.
my
He's determined to be not credible.
correct.
Right.
The,
Which is why
the,
they
the,
didn't pursue charges.
correct. And again, like I've been saying the whole show, why would someone who was actually involved in the assassination admit that while you're in jail serving a 50-year sentence and then go sell shit on the Grassy Knoll? It makes no sense.
It does if you're a fucking nobody and you're in prison facing 50 years, the rest of your life in prison, and you want to be somebody. I mean, who else is he going to be? Some jackass in prison or somebody admitting to killing the president? And everybody thinks he's a badass operator. I believe his story. I mean,
Airborne.
seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's pulling pieces from everybody else's, every other fucking known frauds stories, from Tosh Plumley to Chauncey Holt to Judy Baker to Antonio Veciana to Beverly Oliver. He's pulling little pieces of everybody else's story and turning it into his own narrative.
Right. I 100% agree.
Yeah, he's full of shit.
Yeah. I
just don't think there's a CIA conspiracy behind it to muddy the waters.
No, I don't think. I don't think it's that. I think it's just like if you're them, it's like why intervene at that point? Just like let the scaffoozery become abound. You know.
Now, the reason I wanted to do this is because not only because of the attention that he's getting here recently, again, that he shouldn't be fucking getting, and the praise and oh, he's a hero and all this horse shit. He's nothing. He's a fucking 2-bit criminal liar. And you people fall for this shit because it's a good story. And we just been through the last 2 hours proving to you that none of his story can be corroborated by anything, anybody, or any documents. What do you need other than a good story to believe? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we didn't even get to the fact that it was a mercury filled bullet that fragmented upon impact would leave no trace and blah, all this horse shit. Come on, man.
I'm gonna bite the bullet for my fucking calling card.
And the reason I gave Joe the meatier part to look at, because I know, Joe, you represent a lot of the audience. You haven't been looking into the assassination for a very long time. And I know you can probably intuit that the file story is horseshit because a lot of other people that are respected say it's horseshit. But I guarantee you today is the first day that Joe actually went and did a little research into James files. Am I wrong?
Actual document research? There is no documents. Have I watched his interviews before and tried to feel him out? Yes. But in terms of like searching the documents, no. Not before the last couple days.
I mean, we've all heard what he's alleged, but if you actually do the research to come figure out, he says he's in the military. There are no military records.
Right.
He says he bit a bullet. Okay. They determined the bullet had been buried since 1963 due to some bullshit test. But they also determined that the bullet wasn't manufactured until after 1971. Right? You know, you say all this shit. You know, it's just the things that you can prove and the things that you can't prove.
Right. Yeah, I mean, listen, the FBI discounted it. There's it's pretty much hearsay and coming from some guy that's in prison. Dude's full of shit, obviously. And yes, I knew it. But did I like look into the exact documents or the files, pun intended? There are no files, but did I try? No, not really, because I discounted it right away.
I know there's no files, but there is research that people have done on James files to debunk his bullshit. Mm-hmm. That is out there. But I guarantee you hadn't looked into that before today.
Correct. I mean, that's why we do this, right? Because a lot of our listeners might not have. And
Right. That's why I wanted you to find for yourself what you found.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by the way, Rob, we have a part 2 with the second part of his interview, which we'll be able to play on video on Wednesday for members only.
Yep. And Chris says Antonio Vestiana knows exactly. Antonio Vestiana doesn't know shit. Okay. He doesn't know shit. He's dead. He's dead. Dead. And he said a whole lot of shit. And by the way, Chris, he's been debunked by one of the best JFK researchers out there alive today named John Newman. And if you took a couple seconds to go watch John Newman's presentation on debunking Antonio Vestiana's bullshit and his identification of Maurice Bishop as David Atlee Phillips, which never happened. He never was he never was part of the CIA. He cut a deal to say certain shit to get the fuck out of prison in the 1970s for running cocaine. He was actually military intelligence, not CIA. And he lied about David Atlee Phillips. And if he says he knows who James Files is, he lied about that because it's all bullshit. All of it. All of it. So hopefully we cleared up some stuff. Yeah, you know exactly how the show would end. By you not changing your mind because you're dumb and not honest with yourself. Again, we just debunked everything about James Files and everything he's ever said. And you still believe in fairy tales, brother. So enjoy seeing yourself to the door. Yeah, LOL Newman. Yeah, LOL. That dude's done more research in his pinky toe in his life than you've ever done, bro. And I don't like John Newman. I think he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
But I'm more than willing to give him his flowers because he does good research.
Yes.
And he is a dick.
Yeah.
Just from personal experience. So, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Joe's got the damn dog already, so let's play Dino and get the fuck out of here. I've had enough for one night.
Come to Bourbon
Confusery abounds.
what I think of the case.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you for the super chats and the membership, Brandon, for the people, and thank you for being a 13-month supporter of this show. And if you'd like to support this show, Chris, and I know you do, just become a member, bro. And don't cancel your goddamn subscription when you leave here either. Because you got to be a subscriber to comment.
The greatest
Just
lies
leave
are
it.
told in the name of truth.
I mean, we put a lot of effort into this.
In the name of justice. The
We do.
quotation is Jim Garrison's.
Damn
it.
It could be used for him
And
or
we
against
even
him.
appreciate people with alternate opinions.
We do. We love busting balls here.
Yes.
And we'll be doing more exposés of frauds on this show in the future. Because every once in a while, you need to be reminded. You can't believe everything that you hear and only half of what you see.
Ain't that the truth? And wish me luck at the archives, sir. I'll need it.
Yeah, good luck. Have fun sitting in the parking lot.
At the bar down the street.
And we're out. Thanks, folks.
Peace.
See you on members only. Peace.